this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. So let's get started here. Bring in my supplies. I'm using the Petal Park Builder Punch. Sentimental Park for the sentiment. I'm using Thinking Of and You. And I've mounted them together on the same block. I'm using Petal Park. I'm using these two stamps. The three flowers are all one. It's a two-step stamp. And then I'm using these two as well. I'm using the Fern 3D embossing folder. I'm using the dies, Timeless Arrangement dies. I've already cut everything out just to save time. These little ones here are from Petal Park. Oh no, actually they're not. They're from, I apologize. They are from Petal Park. They're these ones. There isn't a die for them, so you do have to fussy cut them out. Okay. I have a scrap of white to stamp on and then punch out our large flower with. I have a 1 1/4 by 3-inch piece of white that's to stamp our sentiment on. I have a 1 1/2 by 3 1/2 inch piece of white that I've run through that fern embossing folder. I have a 3 by 5-inch piece of black, a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white that I've embossed with that embossing folder. And then my card base this time is 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. Now there's one change that I've done in this card compared to my example. I made this layer a 1/4 inch smaller, so it's 4 by 5 1/4 instead of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, to give myself a little bit of space, and therefore I sized down the black layer a little bit as well. Okay, so let's get started here. These are the dies from that the Sentimental Park. Nope, these are the timeless arrangement dies. And I've already cut out one of each of those and one of this. These are these ones punched, but these ones I've stamped and fussy cut them out because it's just easier to do it off camera. Okay, so let's put these aside so I don't lose them. Let's get started on our stamping. I'm going to stamp the sentiment first. And this is 1 1/4 by 3 inches. Oh, the only ink I'm using is Daffodil Delight and Memento. And then for the center of this large flower, I brought in the bronze Stampin' Blend. And I'll show you a trick that I learned. And I think it's Understand Blue that showed it, where you color from the back. It makes it blend a little bit, bleed. So I'll show you that as well. Okay, let's ink this up. Make sure it's good and inked. Stamp that right in the center. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in this piece. I'm going to bring the detail part of the flower. I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with the Memento as well. I want to look at this punch so I know how this has to go on here, sort of like this. It just makes it easier to punch it out. Okay, then I'll do the same with this little one. I've already cut this one out, but I'll go ahead and stamp it over here. So I need 2 of these. Okay, so we're done with the memento. And then let's bring in the Daffodil Delight and the solider, more solid image. Now this ink pad is a soft foam one, so you don't want to push, you just want to lightly tap. Just lightly tap it, that way you don't get ink all over the edges. You just get ink on the stamp. You might want to move around the stamp head so it uses the color. Now we're going to try to line it up without getting my head in the camera. If it's a little bit off, that's fine. Go ahead and stamp it. That's not bad at all. Let's do the same for these little ones. Line up the center for this one. And then the edges. See, it looks like a bullseye when the center gets lined up. And pivot to get it. Okay, there we go. That's all of our stamping. Now I'll bring in my punch. Push this lever to unlock it. Bring this in. Line it up. Make sure I'm in camera. And squeeze. Okay, so this one is for use for another project. There we go. All right, so let's build this card. I'm going to start by adhering this piece that we've embossed 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm going to adhere that right directly to the front of my card. Use whatever glue you're more comfortable with. I like the Tombow Monomulti glue because it gives me just that little bit of room where I can slide it around, so if I'm crooked I can straighten it up. I'm not very good at getting things straight the first time. Okay, so there's that. Then I'm going to take the black layer, and this one is 3 by 5 inches. If you go all the way to the edge, and it's 5 1/4 inches. I'm also going to mount that directly onto the card. Okay, now set this part aside for a minute. I'm going to bring in this piece, and where'd my other, oh, I stamped it. Thinking of you. Where'd it go? That's it. Okay. This piece is going to get dimensionals underneath it. So let's bring some of those in. I can find his little ones. Oh, I got some big ones in here. There we go. I'll put some dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to mount that on top of this layer that is embossed. That is 1.5 by 3.5. It's gonna go right here. Okay, let's set this piece aside for a minute. Let's bring in these. Okay, so we're going to put this one behind here. We're going to just kind of figure out, excuse me, where we want them. This one will go behind, like there. Okay, so I'm going to just put a little dab of glue on this long skinny part there on each one of these. They're not lined up perfectly, but that's all right. They don't need to be. Okay, and I'm put a little bit of glue on this one. And I'm going to set this on there where I want it. Okay, I'm going to turn it over. Add dimensionals to the back of that. I'm going to use that dimensional to hold that down. Take those backs off. Oops, that one didn't stick, but that's all right. Let's put this where we want it. And push it down. Okay, now let's bring in this piece again. See how this center is white? I wanted it to be colored, so I turned it over on the back. And I just colored in the center with the bronze marker. When you turn it over, it bleeds through just enough that it adds just that little bit of color that you want. You want it to be a little wider, do it a little bit more. A little bit more here. There we go. Okay. Now let's figure out where we want the flowers. We're going to want this here. So let's just put a tiny little bit of glue. I'm actually almost not squeezing it. I'm just using the glue that's left on the tip. Put that there. This one will go here. I need a dimensional on the bottom half, but not on the top half. Let's bring a dimensional and put one down here at the bottom. Okay, now let's bring in the little ones. There's the set of 3. That's just perfect. We'll put that right there. Don't need to do anything with that one. It's going to cover up that little ink spot I got there. It's meant to go there anyway, but kind of. And then I have cut the other set of 3 into 2 pieces. So I'm going to take the 2 one, tuck that in under here. Trying to make sure I don't cover up any of the word. And the single one, I can either go up here with it. I think I will this time. Or down here with it. There you go. There's the card we just made together. Hopefully I wasn't off camera the whole time. My camera's in a different spot, so it's hard for me to look at it. Here's the one I did previous. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. I wonder what that would look like in there. Nah, maybe we'll just put that on the inside. There we go. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.